Hello, everybody, and thank you for watching my channel. I'm La Cherie. I first want to introduce who I am. I am a 40-year-old single mom of 7, and I'm a recovering addict. I am recovering from cocaine and heroin and pain pills. When I was 22 years old, I got sick with something called multiple sclerosis, and I was pregnant with twins. So at that time, they really couldn't do all the tests that they needed to do. Um, they wanted to do a spinal tap when I was pregnant with my twins, but couldn't do it because I was pregnant. In order to do a spinal tap, you gotta be, I don't know, you can't be pregnant. So they waited until I had my twins. So instead of calling it multiple sclerosis, they called it a demyelinating disease. Okay. So then I had my twins. I had my twins February 9th in 2006. After I had my twins, I was put into same day surgery where they took a large needle and they stuck it into my spine and took some of the fluid out of my spine. And that is how they found out I had MS. They seen the same thing that they seen on the MRI in my spinal fluid. I also had some bad effects from that procedure. They had actually, I was at home. When I went home, the doctor told me make sure I laid flat, straight, didn't make movements, things like that. Well, that didn't happen. So I ended up getting this headache, and it was a really, really, really bad headache. I mean, I can't even describe how bad it was. But every time I sat up, I would throw up. I would be nauseous. Um, so I had to go back to the hospital or back to my neurologist. He had to put me back into same day surgery where they had to put another needle this big into my arm, take blood out of my arm, put the needle back into my back, and basically blood patch so that my spine wouldn't be leaking, because that was what was causing the headaches. My spinal fluid was leaking. Couldn't pay me $1 million to do that ever again. Um, so after I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, I started seeing some doctors. I was experiencing some really bad pain. I couldn't describe it, but I would go to my doctor and I would tell my doctor, I'm in pain. I can't sleep. I would tell him why. And of course, here, take one of these. You'll be okay. So I didn't know anything about the medicine. I didn't even know anything about drugs like that. I was 22 years old. I really did not know what these pills could do to you. So I ended up taking them, and I liked them. I'm not going to sit here and I'm going to lie. I liked the effect of these pills. Like, I liked the way they made me feel. They took my pain away emotionally and physically. I was going through some things in my relationship on top of having the MS. So that's how my addiction started. Um, so my addiction. How it started was that. And then how it got out there. How my addiction got out there. I actually told my twin's father, and I'm not going to expose names, but I told my twin's father that I was misusing my pills. And he was like, really? And he tried to figure out other ways or methods to give me the medicine. But me being the addict that I was still doing it behind his back. Um, and then it got to a point where the doctors, I guess, knew that I was misusing my pills. and they just straight took me off of them. I didn't know what withdrawal was until I didn't have them pills. I remember being in my car and I'm driving and I'm sweating and my stomach felt all crazy. And I can't explain it. I just felt so crazy and I felt like I had to go to the bathroom. And I picked up one of my associates that I used to get high with the pills. And he gets in my car and he's like, "Oh my goodness, what's wrong? It looks like you're going through withdrawal." And I'm like, "What is withdrawal?" And he explains to me what withdrawal is. So he's like, I'm like, "Okay, if I'm going through withdrawal, then how can I get rid of the withdrawal?" So he tells me, "Oh yeah, you're gonna either have to take the medicine or we can go over here to such and such place and you can try dope." Now, me coming from Buffalo, New York, dope in Buffalo, New York, in our meaning is marijuana. Okay. So I'm telling this boy, what is marijuana going to do? Okay. What is marijuana going to do for my withdrawal symptoms? He's like, "I'm not talking about marijuana." So I'm sitting there like, okay, what are you talking about? So he tells me, heroin. So no, I'm not doing that. And like, I literally wanted to kick him out of my car when he said that. Like, heroin, I ain't doing that. But then he started explaining to me what the pills were. How pills are just synthetic forms of heroin. They're all made from opiates and or opium. And if I was to do some, that it would take my withdrawal away. Now, I was sick. I don't know if anybody ever been through withdrawal, but if you are a recovering addict, you know what I'm talking about. And this was my first withdrawal. So it was like the deadliest to me. So we drive out there and he goes to get what he gets, and I try a little bit of it. In literally not even 30 seconds, I started to feel better. My head started feeling better. I stopped getting hot. My stomach stopped feeling all crazy. I didn't have to go to the bathroom. But then, like, it was different. It wasn't like the pills, it was like 10 times better. So that day, when I tried it, I got addicted. That day, to heroin. I was not shooting heroin when I started heroin, I was snorting it. Um, Me being an MS patient, when I was on medicine for my multiple sclerosis, they used to come in shot form. And they would deliver my medicine from Tennessee, and they would all already come in pre-filled syringes. So one day I got curious. Hanging around people that are doing these things make you curious. That's how I even ended up learning how to snort stuff, was being around people doing it. But anyways, it made me curious. So one day what I did was I took one of my pre-filled syringes and I dumped it out, I cleaned it out, and I tried it that first time. That was the last time I ever put anything up my nose. So then I started shooting. My twin's father had no idea what was going on that time. He knew something was off with me, but he couldn't put two and two together. First of all, neither of us come from that environment. So he couldn't put it on. He couldn't put it on the see what the heck I was doing, but I was doing it. So one day he comes home and I'm in the bathroom, and it's like for some reason he figured it out. How, I don't know. But I remember I came out of the bathroom and he's like, "Let me see your arms." And I'm like, "No, what do you need to see my arms for?" I think it's because I always used to keep my arms covered throughout my whole addiction. And I made sure I always kept my arms covered because I didn't want people to know. But I guess that's how he caught on to it. So he's like, let me see your arms. I said no. So then he came over toward me and he put my arm and he looked and he just started crying. And then he was like, you're just like your mother. That's another story. I come from addiction. My parents were addicts too, but that's a whole nother story. And he's like, you're just like your mother. He started crying, saying all kinds of bad stuff. So when I seen how it made him feel, I tried to go cold turkey. Well, I ain't know nothing about this stuff, okay? I'm sitting there and I'm sick, and he's scared out of his mind, have no idea what to do for me. He didn't want to see me like that either. So this girl that I was getting high with came over to the house, and she was looking for me, and John opened the door. Sorry. He opened the door. And it's her standing outside, and she's like, well, where's Lala? And he's like, she's upstairs, and she's going through it right now. She can't come downstairs. And she was like, going through what? And she was like, he was like, oh, she's trying to get off that stuff. And she was like to him, I guess she told him that if I tried to detox without medical treatment, that I could die, which is not true. But that's what she told my kid's dad. So my kid's dad comes upstairs, and so does she, and they start explaining what she said to my kid's dad to me. So I'm like, you're telling me I can't get off this stuff without either weaning myself off? Like, what are you saying? She's like, you can't do that because if you do, you're gonna die. Your weight is this, you're this small, and you're not gonna be able to handle it. Da, da, da. So my kid's dad was giving. He was like, you know what? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you a couple dollars. I'm not going out there. You go out there, get what you gotta get, and dish it out. I'll dish it out, but I'll make sure that you're not doing it how you were doing it. And I'm like, okay. So I remember being real sick. I got on the train. I made sure I brought my bike. I could barely ride that bike. I could really not ride that bike at all. It was terrible. Um, so I get there finally, and I get what I needed to get. And before I even got home, I made sure I did what I had to do so that I could get home, so I wouldn't be feeling the way I was feeling. So I get home, and he's like, okay, well, give it to me, and I'll make sure you have such and such. But I was still lying to this man. He would give me the stuff, and I'd act like I'm not injecting it. Of course, I was injecting it. Because once you inject, even snorting it, it's not, you're still going to feel sick. I don't know why, but yeah. But I was still shooting it. So after some time went on, he's like, you know, we can't do this no more. We're going to have to find you a treatment. We're going to have to figure out some way to get you off of this stuff because I am not giving you money to go out here and put poison inside you. You're not doing that. So we did some research. Well, he did some research, and he found a methadone clinic. Now, I ain't know nothing about methadone, neither did he. All we knew is when he read this, it's saying that this was a way for me to get off the heroin and help me not think about it. I could live a regular life. Da 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 da. So he's like, come on, we're gonna go to the methadone clinic. He came with me because it was in Camden, of course. So he came with me every time I had to go to the methadone clinic to make sure that I wasn't, dipping off and doing other things. So he made sure he rode the train. The first time they gave me my treatment at the methadone clinic, I think it was 30 milligrams. I think they start you off at 30 milligrams. And the stuff is disgusting. They make you drink it in front of them, and then you got to show them your mouth or drink some water to make it. So I take the medicine, and then we leave. We go and get some coffee across the street, and then we're getting ready to get back on the train. So I'm drinking the coffee. Next thing you know, I start getting really tired. I think it was because I drank the coffee, not knowing that that hot liquid, was going to intensify it. But when we got home, I slept for 3 days, 3 days straight. It scared the crap out of Jonathan. So he goes to the library and he starts researching on methadone. And I remember him saying, he comes home and he's waking me up. He tries to wake me up. And he's like, you got to get off this stuff. You got to get off this stuff. This stuff gets into your bones. It's worse. It's worse. You got to get off this stuff. But I'm already like, got it into my system. Like, we've been going. Not something you could just get off of. But at that time, I didn't know. So I'm like, okay, you want me to do what? He was like, I just need you to get off the methadone. And I'm like, okay. So I did try to get off the methadone by myself. I spiked fevers. I think my fever got higher every day. I tried to get off of it. I couldn't get off methadone by myself. That right there could have killed me. So since he didn't want me on the methadone, I remember I went out. I went to get my drugs. When I came back, there was a note on my pillow that said, we love you very much, but we can't do this anymore. And we're going to leave, and until you get better. I looked around the house. My kid's stuff was gone, and he was gone. Right then and there, I was hurt, mad, lost. Made my addiction 10 times. He took my kids from me, and just left. I understand he did try to help me. And listen, this was a long time ago. But he left and he took my kids, and my addiction got worse. So at that time, I just really didn't care anymore. I didn't care. We was still talking to each other, but I think I didn't see my twins for like 4 years. 4 years throughout the whole addiction. I would see him, but I wouldn't see my twins. And yeah. So, anyways, when that happened, when he ended up leaving me and taking my kids, and my addiction got the way it did, I stopped doing the normal things like paying rent, making sure my bills were good, stuff like that. So I ended up losing my house. I lost my car and my income, literally in 3 months after he left, because my addiction got that bad. So I ended up moving to Camden, New Jersey, where I was getting high at, wanted to be closer, and I started living on the streets or wherever I could, hallways, anywhere I could sleep, and just was getting high because I really did feel lost at that time. I felt like, I don't know, I just felt lost. So, anyways, after time went on, I say about 2 years went on, and I said to myself, I can't do this no more. So I ended up packing up everything, and I called my dad. I have my biological dad and my biological brother. I called them, and they helped me go to Florida. So I ended up going to Florida for a good, I think I left for 3 months. I was in Florida for 3 months. Doing really good. I got clean. I did it cold turkey. Um, I love the fact of being in Florida. It was different. Plus, it was warm. It was by the beaches, stuff like that. That's like everything I could want in one. So I was in a good place. But I missed my kids because my kids were still in Jersey. So When November came, I was going to take a little trip for Thanksgiving to go visit my kids. I wasn't going to come back to Jersey thinking that I was going to stay, but that didn't happen. I ended up coming to New Jersey for Thanksgiving, and um, I ended up meeting someone. What, like the same day? I think the day I came back. No, the next day I came back, morning time, because I had went and brought them cigarettes. Remember, my grandmother house, and I started messing around with him. But I also came back because I wanted to see my kids, and he wouldn't let me see them. So I relapsed and started getting high again. The guy that I met, that I was happy with, I basically kicked him to the curb and stopped trying to mess with him, even though he came around and kept trying to wonder what he did wrong, and he didn't. I just didn't want him to see what I was doing. Plus, being at it, you can't be in a relationship. Um, so I basically cut him off, and then he started getting high, back on my high binge. My brother, like, what's going on? Like, why didn't you come back? I literally left everything in Florida, everything, paperwork, clothes, shoes. I just came down here with a few things and stayed and left all my stuff in Florida. But anyways, so then finally, in my getting high binge, I noticed that my boobs kept hurting really bad. So something told me to take a test. I went to go take a test. And when I took the test, when I looked at it, I only seen one line and I felt really relieved. I'm like, oh God, I'm pregnant. Yay, thank you, Lord. Hallelujah. So I, do my business, get off, get up, pick up the test. It's two lines, not just one line, it's two lines. So I'm here, I am pregnant, but I'm on drugs. I was sitting there like, how did this happen? Well, we all know how that happened. So that day, I took the test over to the guy that I was messing with, and I remember it was really, it was snowing. I had to take that day, and I went out there anyways. I put the test in a bag and I handed it to him. I think I stayed out there with you for a couple minutes, and then I went back home. So I got this conscience on me every day, eating at me as I'm doing my drugs. Like, I'm pregnant. What am I gonna do? So I went to Cooper Hospital. I had to come get me in the ambulance, and they admitted me. They took me into the labor and delivery to make sure that the baby was good. And then when they put me there, I told the nurse the truth. I told her that I was on heroin and cocaine. I was shooting heroin and cocaine, and that I have the baby, and that I was scared. And she was like, "You did the right thing, because if I would have been out on the streets and I would have went cold turkey with the baby in my stomach, I either would have lost the baby, or it just was bad." So I put myself in the hospital. Since I didn't have insurance, they kept me in the hospital to make sure that I was dosed, had my dose. And then I talked to a social worker at the hospital, and the social worker put me in touch with the Camden Coalition that was basically helping me get the medicine that I needed to get through my pregnancy and not have to use. Then they also provided me to stay in a shelter, which was a very nice shelter too, by the way. It was called the Butterfly Shelter. So I stayed in the hospital until I was able to get into that shelter, and then until I was able to get Camden Coalition to be able to pay for my medicine, so then that way I would go back to the drugs and I wouldn't be back in the area where I was getting high. So I am in this shelter and I'm doing very well. I didn't think about getting high, taking my medicine, taking my prenatal stuff. And on September 3rd, 2016, Hosian was born. Yes, he was in the NICU for 30 days because of the withdrawal from the Subutex. But other than that, he's here. So I'm getting ready to be released out of the hospital, and they're telling me that Child Protective Services is getting involved. One, because of what Hosian had in his system, and yeah. So when your baby has something in their system, because when the first poop come out, they test that poop. When they test the poop, they found what was in Hosian's. And not only that, Hosian went through withdrawal too. So that made social services, Child Protective Services be involved. The reason why I had to be supervised is because one day I was with my boyfriend, my kid's dad, that I am with now. We were together and he was smoking, and me being an addict wanted to try it. I took like 3 hits of that stuff. 2 hits. It was synthetic marijuana, K2 Buddha, whatever you want to call it. That's what it was. I took 2 hits of that. This man had to carry me home literally because I was out of it. And then when I got back to the shelter, the people were downstairs, and this was after I had Hosian. I was not pregnant. The people were downstairs, and I was sitting downstairs because I didn't feel like I could go up the stairs. And I had somebody staying with me that was really good friend. I'm not gonna put her name out here either, but she knew. So I had to wait for her to get back to take me up the stairs. But the people at the shelter, they knew something was wrong with me because they said that I was sleeping on the couch or something, because that stuff made me, it was crazy. So they reported that back to CPNP, DCNP. So when I was able to get Hosian out of the hospital, when he was ready to be discharged, they told me that I had to be supervised because of what was called in from the shelter. So I'm like, okay. So I wanted somebody from the butterfly shelter to supervise me, but they said they could not supervise me in the shelter. 1, because you can't be there all day. 2, they're not there all day. So who's going to supervise me? So I ended up having to stay with my boyfriend's sister. Now, mind you, my boyfriend's family didn't like me from the jump because I was a drug addict. All his family know of me is seeing me buy drugs. And because of the reputation that I had from being an addict, they didn't want me to be with him. Actually made my pregnancy terrible and tried to make this man believe that the baby wasn't his, which it was, and he knew it, and I knew it. And then when I have Hosian, all these nosy people come up to the hospital just to see if Hosian is his. Which Hosian is his? 1, has the same blood type as his father. 2, looks just like his oldest son. So they came to the hospital just to see what my baby looks like. And of course, oh, this is my grandbaby. Oh, this is my grandbaby. Now Hosian is their grandbaby. Okay. So anyways, back to the part where I'm being supervised by my boyfriend's sister. Now, we get to the house. The first night I get there with my baby, I can't bring my baby because we were sleeping in the basement. Okay. Listen, wherever I'm sleeping, I feel like my baby can sleep too. But my boyfriend and his sister didn't want the baby to be in the basement. They wanted the baby to be upstairs, this, that, and the other. I felt like the baby should have been with me, the mom and the dad, because that person wasn't their parents. Plus, 2, we're the ones that feed them and we're their parents. But anyways, it didn't work out like that. So she ended up falling in love with my child because my child was sleeping in her room every night. Fell in love with my child. And then it got to a point where I didn't have to be supervised anymore, right? I was able to take the baby and stuff, remember? I got to a point where they took the supervision off of me. Hello? Remember, I got to a point when they took the supervision off of me when I was at your sister's house. Yeah, okay. So the supervision was off of me completely because I was doing everything that DCCP&P was telling me to do. I forgot. I'm trying to remember. Hold on, let's go back. All I remember is DCP&P wanted me and my boyfriend, to take these parenting classes. I remember dropping my baby off in the morning at his mom's house, and for some reason she acting real strange, talking about something. I don't know. It was strange. I didn't feel right leaving my baby there. It was strange. So me and my boyfriend go to the classes, the parenting classes, and we finished our parenting classes. That was our last class. So we like, oh yay, we got our certificate. So our teacher, the instructor lady, said that we could go and get the baby. We could go get our baby. Da 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 da. So we was happy about that. So me and my boyfriend went to the house, and when we got to the house, we're knocking on the door, but nobody answers. So I think 5 minutes went past, and we still knocking on the door, and there's no answer. My boyfriend got mad, started kicking the door, and kicking the door, and kicking the door. We didn't know that his mom and sister had DCP&P in their house. Why they had DCP&P in their house was because they said that I had a needle and that I was shooting drugs and that I was doing it in their house.
But I was taking Pilates. They have
No, that's not part of it. I'm telling my story. Okay. So I remember my boyfriend is kicking the door and the police show up. Finally, these people open the door and there's 2 intake workers in the house. They come out with my boyfriend's mom and sister. And finally, here comes my baby. I went to go grab my baby. A police officer pried my baby out of my arms at 5 months old because they said they heard gunshots. Gunshots. They heard gunshots. They took the baby from all of us. From all of us. Put my baby in some dirty home. Dirty home. And it was on a Friday. It had to be on a Friday because I remember, yes, it was on a Friday. Yes, it was on a Friday because we had to go to court on Monday for the baby. So we're devastated they took the baby, and we don't know where my baby is, okay? So we go to court on that Monday. That Monday morning, it was me, my boyfriend, his sister, and his mother. So we come to the court. They go in the bathroom, and I'm in the bathroom. It's just me, his mom, and his sister. They're crying historically. And they're like, Jasmine's like, please give me custody of your baby or temporary custody of your baby so that way he stays in the family. And if you want to see him or anything, I won't keep you from your baby. I promise. I'll be good to him and you'll always be in his life. If he gets into foster care, none of us won't see him. Da 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 da. You know, the okie doke. So, anyways, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for that. Because I didn't want my baby to go in foster. Who want that kid to go in foster care? Or, anyways, a lie over a fake syringe and then a fake gun that was supposedly been shot at the time where we were trying to get our baby when he was just kicking the door. I mean, where are the bullet holes? Where's the evidence? But anyways, so they took the baby. That Monday we went to court. the judge, I told it was okay that his sister take the baby. The worst mistake I ever could have made. Really. So she had the baby. We had to move out of her house and go somewhere else because since she had the baby, we couldn't be there. So we ended up moving in with his uncle for a little bit. That's when I started using again because I'm like, I did everything I could to get out of North Camden, the area where I was getting high. It's like they put me right back in the same area where I tried to avoid, and then put me with people who couldn't stand me. So that was a setting. But anyways, so I did lose hope, and she ended up having my son for a little bit. She did have him for a while, about 9 months, and then reality kicked in when I was out there doing me. And one day I woke up, it was early, I think it was like 8, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. And I got up and my peoples was already outside. So I'm like, okay, so we getting ready to go do our business, go to the block, go get what we need and do our business. Well, I didn't have any powder, which is cocaine. She didn't do speedballs. I did. I could not do heroin without any type of powder. So I told her, I said, could you just wait for me? Wait, don't do anything, just wait for me. And when I get back, we'll be good. So it literally took me about 10 minutes to walk to where I needed to go to get what I needed to get and to walk back to the house. Get back to the house. And when I get back to the house, I'm knocking on the door. There's no movement, no noise, no nothing. So I jingled the handle. Of course, the door is open. So I opened the door, and the first thing I see is her face literally turned upside down like this. I can't really show you, but she was like this. Her head was hanging off the bed, and her eyes were like this. And like, I can't, it was crazy. I will never forget that image ever. She had a needle stuck in her arm, and she was gone. There was no way I could save her. She was gone. She wasn't breathing. She was gone. So that right there scared the crap out of me. I started running as fast as I could and ran into the right person. I literally ran into what is he, a jump out boy, a bounty hunter, a cop, sheriff? What is he?
He's two things.
He's a bounty hunter / sheriff. So like, I missed court, and I was running from probation for a long time during my addiction, and I ran into that right person. And when I seen him, I just still like this. I didn't run. I didn't try to do anything. So he was like, on the speaker, Miller, you're under arrest. So he put me under arrest. I go in, and I stayed in there for a good 4 or 5 months, like 4.5 months, something like that, until I was able. Well, actually, DCP&P was the reason why I got out. I wasn't even sentenced into drug court yet. They were getting ready to adopt Hosian. They were trying to get him out for adoption. And DCP&P came to the court and requested that I was released so that I could fight to get him back, which was God. That was God right there, because they didn't have to do that. So when I got out, that was the first thing I did. I went to all my IOPs. If it wasn't for drug court, I did drug court in a matter of 2.5 to 3 years. And I had a 5-year sentence, and I graduated in 2.5 years. And go get my plaque for me. Get my plaque for me. It's on the stairs.
What plaque?
The plaque. It's a plaque. You'll see it. It's like, I have a plaque, and I have a coin they gave me. It's a drug court coin, but It's a gold coin and it's real big. And I have a plaque. I graduated drug court. I was on the news. Uh, they did a graduation for us and all that good stuff. Um, I felt really good. I got my baby. I got my baby. There was a person that came back into my life when I was clean and helped me. And he helped me with an apartment. I got my apartment and I got Hosian back. And Hosian's been with me ever since. Hosian is now 7. And I have 2 other kids. Liliana and Jeremiah. Yes, it was. I had my pack on the stairs. Then somebody moved in. Well, I'll post my drug court plaque as soon as I can find it. It's somewhere around here. Could have swore it was on the stairs. It's not enough. I don't think I put it in the drawers because I wanted to hang it up. I think the kids' books are in the drawers. But anyways, this is Hosian right here. Say hi. My big 7-year-old right here. That changed my life. That makes me work harder every day. That makes me want to live. Gives me a purpose. So all I'm saying is with my story, if I can do it, you can do it. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect right now. There is still things that I am working on, like my living situation and stuff like that. But that is gonna come. That's gonna come together with it too, like it has been. It's a lot more things that I need to work on myself. But just to let you know that recovery is possible and we do recover. So if you guys are thinking that you guys can't do this, that you guys are lost, that you don't want to go through the withdrawal or whatever the reason why you think you can't do it, try to change that mindset because I did it. And I'm not the only person that did it. And like I said, now I want to spread awareness because now our children are dying and they're literally dying every 30 minutes to overdoses. And they're taking medicine and they're not having any idea what they're doing and what they can do, what those pills can do to them. So just like I was saying in my last video, when we were younger, we had DARE and they still didn't tell us everything. But at least we had DARE. What do the kids have now? What programs in school do they have now to teach them to say no to things?
Summer school.
There is so many different things that these kids need to know besides making videos, watching YouTube, being on the phone. They need to know the important things too. Because maybe if I would have known the important things, I would have never went through this. If somebody would have actually sat down and told me about these things, I probably would have never tried these things. I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now today telling this story. It'd probably be a reverse story. I'm doing crazy good and this, that, and the other. But it was because of lack of knowledge. Getting sick, listening to these doctors, not doing research myself is what caused my addiction. So I hope you guys enjoy my video. And yes, I am going to be using my platform to spread substance abuse awareness. I feel like our children need to know. They need to know. Even when they're diagnosed at an early age with something, they need to know.
Goku.
I didn't know, but we don't teach our kids who will. The streets, they're not succeeding with that. So again, thank you for watching my channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please subscribe to my channel for more. Until next time, I love you all.
Mom, tomorrow I'm just gonna go on the I'm just gonna go on YouTube and I wanna find this thing and just